What's up, everybody? I am Tarah M. Williams. Welcome to another episode of the Tea Time with Tarah show. We are in really good with season 2. We hope you've been enjoying the show thus far. For those of you who may not know who I am your chaos coordinator, 11-time published author, podcaster, and more. Today, my guest and I are drinking on a cup of Zeal sweet flavored tea. The flavors you all may be interested in are black, peach, peppermint, the number one ginger raspberry, and whatever seasonal flavor we have out at this time. For us today, we are sipping on a cup of ginger raspberry Zill sweet flavored tea. So if you're interested in that, check out my Facebook page, Zill Sweet Flavored Tea. For more information on the books that I have out, you can visit www.stalkyourdestiny.com, or you can go to amazon.com and type in Tarah M. Williams. Any more information that you would like to find on me, you can Google Tarah M. Williams and all of my information will come up. Or you can go to any social media platform and search Stalk Your Destiny. Put things in their proper place. And when you put things in their proper place, then you're able to see how much more time you have to focus on other things. And if your professional life, if your business life, if you're trying to make a life for yourself, if those things are not in order, then stop rushing to the comfort of a dependent person. Stop rushing to lean on someone else if you are not taking care of your own situation, your own life. And that's a really, really big distraction because we all want and need the social connection in terms of another person, in terms of love and endearment, those types of things, companionship. We need those things, but put them in proper place. And there's a saying, I think I've said it before, do what you have to do so that you can do what you want to do. For today's show, we are going to talk to you guys about knowledge and why my guest needs that on his journey to stalking his destiny. His name, I'm sure y'all are waiting on his name. His name is Pierre Cochran, y'all. So I'm going to let him introduce himself, and he's going to start this off for you guys by reading from my book, The ABCs to Stalk Your Destiny, Knowledge. Here we go.
How you all doing? My name is Pierre Cochran. I am a real estate agent. I am a substitute teacher and inspirational speaker, mindset leader. I hail from Illinois, USA, and I met Tarah a few months ago. And here we are now. She's giving me a little bit of her knowledge. So I'm going to read this excerpt from her book,
ABCs to Stalk Your Destiny.
ABCs to Stalk Your Destiny. I'm on knowledge. It says, being a wise person is much more than being a person with degrees. Having knowledge is more than having book smarts. Knowledge comes from experience, being taught by what you read, see, hear, and go through on your own. Knowledge is truly power because a cap cannot be placed on how much you have. Having knowledge doesn't mean that you know everything. It means that you are able to attain information and apply what you have learned at the appropriate times. It should also mean that you are able to regurgitate what you have heard or experienced so that someone else may take what you teach and grow as well. Knowledge is not to be kept inside, it is to be shared with the world. In stalking your destiny, being able to lead yourself is what is most important. You must learn to make decisions based on the knowledge you have. Center yourself with people who can be advisors. Glean from those who are older, wiser, and more experienced. Grab hold of all you can and really take in what they have to offer. The more you experience on your journey of life, the more knowledge you could gain. How you learn from what you go through and what you do with that information is up to you and your mindset at the time. But even if you ignore what was meant to be strengthened, what was meant to strengthen you, I'm start over there. Information is up to you and your mindset at the time. But even if you ignore what is meant to strengthen you, you can always go back to a part of your journey and pull something else from it. As you grow, you tend to look at things differently. So look back. So looking back is something that you could as you grow, you tend to look at things differently. So looking back is something that can help when revisiting situations for purpose and in situations of your future. Be sure that when you gain knowledge from others, you check it up against something sound. By that I mean make sure you research what has been told to you. Evidence can be found in similar experiences or books and the internet. If ever you are unsure of what is being told or taught to you, knowledge is checking further into those things. This gives you more knowledge, direction, and wisdom on the subjects at hand. Sub- Use knowledge as the powerful tool it is. Yep, that's it.
Okay. Thank you for that, y'all. So something I forgot to say was here at Stalk Your. This is not Stalk Your Destiny, and I keep wanting to say that. But here at the Tea Time with Tara show, we believe you have a voice and it needs to be heard. Even if you stumble, we all stumble. And here we are based on business and Bible basics. And then for me as a coach, you all stalk your destiny. We believe that everything you want to become, you already are, which is why we discuss this with our guests on the show so that whatever it is you want to become, we can talk about it as well as you have your voice and it's being heard. All right. So thank you
Yes,
for
ma'am.
reading that.
You're welcome.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, so yes, did you want to tell us a little bit more about you? You kind of gave a brief intro, but let's hear more about who you are, even your AKA.
Okay. Again, my name is Pierre Cochran. I am known as Mr. Nobody. I chose the name Mr. Nobody because a couple years ago, I was talking to some people, to be more specific, a childhood friend or a childhood associate, someone I grew up with. And they made the statement, as I talked about the things that I was doing and the things that I was trying to accomplish, they made the statement like, Pierre, you nobody. And,
Oh wow.
nobody give a damn what you're doing, you
Oh.
know. And like this was blatant. It was obviously in private because, I feel like people wouldn't say something like that. I feel like people wouldn't say something like that around other people because they know how it would look.
Mm-hmm.
But when people want to attack your self-esteem and kind of keep you where they believe you should be, that's type of things they'll say. So
And people tell you what they think about themselves in that way too.
that's very true. You've been profound since I met you. Okay.
Thank you.
Um. So I kind of I let it drag me down for a while, and I thought about the name Mr. Nobody. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take like a woman turns the B word into a term of endearment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take the word nobody and do this play on words and make it something that is knowledge based. Because, I believe in like throwing do we cuss on Tea Time with Tarah?
Yes.
I believe in throwing shit at the wall and seeing what stick.
Okay.
And a lot of people that I know would believe that and have even said to me like, man, Pierre, you don't know what you're trying to do. You've been a
Oh.
corrections officer, you've been a police officer, you're a real estate agent, you're subbing, you want to speak, you want to write books, And I want to do all those things. I've done photography, I've done videography and graphic design, and I'm just a natural born leader. I love building people up, and I love being transparent to a point where yes, it makes me vulnerable, but at the same time, it makes me relatable.
Right.
You know, and so I chose Mr. Nobody as my moniker, um, to basically show people that I'm not trying to be in the spotlight. I used to literally ask God to give me the fortune and he can save the fame. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. You
I
wanted
want to
all
be
the
rich.
treasure.
I want that I want the things that money can create in my life and the life of my family,
Right.
you know. But the actual fame, the spotlight, is something that I've never really seeked. Again, I was a photographer and videographer. I was behind the camera.
Right.
And I think at some point God kind of put me in front of the camera. And so as I went through life again, I did almost a decade in law enforcement, which I loved.
Mm-hmm.
But after being a corrections officer for 6 years at St. Louis County Jail out in Clayton, I realized that one, I wasn't fulfilled, and two, I wasn't able to make the impact that I wanted to make because a lot of times, as these inmates come into intake, where I worked towards the end of my career, I it was too late for me to do anything
Right.
for them.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a CO.
Right.
They already been booked with their charges. This officer's writing the report, how they view it, and all these other things. And in the back of my mind, and if you ask my mama, she'll say the same thing. I always had like aspirations or a dream as a kid to be a policeman.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of, as a black man, you kind of push that away because of how, our people feel about cops.
Right.
And, I was around 28, which I believe myself personally that 28 is the age where a lot of people have their midlife crisis. That's what
That first life crisis.
yeah, I believe that's when you start. It's not about the money anymore. You start looking for what your purpose is in this
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
And I decided to start applying at police departments at about 27, going on 28. And I actually turned 28 in the police academy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, you know, graduating the police academy, 8 months, it was grueling. They, true, they paid you in St. Louis City to work out and learn the law. It was really just the hardest thing I ever did, physically and mentally.
Okay.
Just kind of keeping up and never not having, gone to college except for a few semesters at a community college.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a challenge, but a good one.
So let me interject here because you sound like you're finna make a whole bunch of other points as well. But you made several points right here for people that are listening. Is first, no matter, use what people call you to your advantage
Right.
was something that I heard, and hopefully you guys heard. Also, be sure to chime below and let us know what you need on your journey to stalk your destiny. And if something that Pierre is saying is hitting you, is good, go ahead and comment below, as well. But you don't have to be what people call you. You don't have to subject yourself to those titles, but you
Absolutely.
can take it and flip it. Like with stalk your destiny. I go into rooms and say, hey, my name's Tara and I'm a stalker, and people be like, what? Especially the youth, they'll be like, what do you mean? You're a stalker. Well, I took it and I flipped it
Right.
because we know stalkers to go after what doesn't belong to them. And I took it and said, stalk your destiny because that absolutely belongs to you, you know? And so with that, um, you took nobody, and took it to nobody, like I know, and if I don't know, I can find it,
Exactly.
and actually another guest that we have on the show, he always says, knowledge is power, but only if you use it,
Correct.
you know. And I say the application of knowledge is power, which is the same difference, as well. But then you hit on that 28 thing, and I didn't think about that. Um, I didn't think about 28 being a milestone or marker for almost everyone, really, because at 25, your life could be golden. Listen, I was living my best life. I was living my best life at 25. But in the midst of living my worst life at 28 is when I decided to start 2 businesses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one I had started, I believe, that year, or the year prior. And then Stalk Your Destiny, I started officially at 29. You know, but I was building
It
it
was in the
at
works at
28.
28.
Yeah, absolutely. It was in the works and everything behind the scenes at 28, 29. It was out here for the world, you know, to
Mm-hmm.
know about
Mm-hmm.
it as well. And so I think that that's important for you all who are younger and you watching this, you know, live your best life, treat people well, treat yourself well, but do everything you want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
As you are young and able and moving freely, do everything that you want to do, because sometimes when you get to that higher 20s, you know, upper 20s, you're going to start thinking about different things, and life is going to change anyway for you. So be open to that. Also, you said something else that I try to go over with my clients. You did something for 10 years, right? And you've done these different professions as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I meet people that say, "Oh, I'm all over the place," you know, I know you probably think I'm crazy. I got a lot going on,
Mm-hmm.
all of those type of things. Then I kind of say, well, do everything, because who told you? I know that the older generations were taught, like, you finish school, you get a job, you stay there for 30 years and you don't do anything else and don't aspire to much and don't be ambitious and all of these things, right?
Yep.
But our lives change so much that we literally become different people at
Mm-hmm.
different eras in our life.
Different seasons.
Yeah. And so we become different people. And so I tell people, do everything. I'm like, you think that this is forever. And when you do a roadmap to success, you see, well, okay, well, I want this in 3 years, which feels like one. I want this in 5 years, which feel like 2.5 years. And I want this in 10 years, which feels like 3 to 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, do that. But if you change your mind, that's okay too, because you can absolutely learn and apply whatever that new thing is, whatever that new field is, and you can dominate that field, because people say I have a lot going on already, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But in my 40s, it's gonna be something else, you know.
Exactly.
Like when I get in my 40s, I'm already talking about going back to school right now. I'm talking about getting the law degree I said I was gonna get when I was in 6th grade.
Come on now.
You know, I'm talking about doing all of that. And people are like, well, what are you gonna do with that? Or what are you gonna do with your company? Or how come you're not gonna be a life coach? Why can't I have this company and change from the position of a life coach to an expert?
Mm-hmm.
Take the life coach title off. Why can't I change from being an author to being an expert in book writing?
Yep.
You know, and not writing anymore. I don't have to do anymore. Since this is business and Bible basics, um, God told me if I didn't produce anything else, I've done enough.
Mm-hmm.
I've done enough. 11 books, 12 planners and accountability tools. The show, season 2 now. You know, and the podcast been going on for what? We're in season 4 of the podcast now.
PBS.
So, PBS, yes, an Emmy on PBS. You know, being on Living St. Louis special. With that as well. Thank you. 'Cause
Mm-hmm. It'd be
so
hard to keep track of everything you got going on
right,
when you throwing shit at the wall.
exactly. And when you're walking in your purpose as well, y'all, I want you all to know this too, okay? Because people get down on themselves, and this is some knowledge too about life. Nothing that you do is in vain. You can literally take a lesson or something that you can apply to your life from everything you've experienced in your life, good, bad, and ugly, and on every level. And for those of you, because this just came to mind, but for those of you who are dealing with trauma, or those of you who are around people who are trying to heal from trauma, please stop putting dates and ages on when they can't feel what they feel.
Mm.
Because as knowledge would have it, you don't choose when trauma deals with you. You just choose how you deal with it when it comes up in you. So please allow the space for people to feel what they feel, process what they need to process. And those of you who are feeling things and processing things, please also be respectful to people around you. Uh, Process on your own terms
Yeah.
and process respectfully, because even if you're feeling those things, other people aren't responsible for that. But also, if you have people around you that are judging you, you might need new people around you. And I said that, y'all, because as you grow and change and life happens, again, things are going to happen to you, good, bad, and ugly. And sometimes we grieve things we don't realize that we're grieving. At random times, something can trigger you, and you don't know what that is or why you feel a way or why you're responding a way to things. So have some grace for yourself and actually deal with the situation. Learn more knowledge about the situation. And also people around others who are dealing with stuff, give them grace, and maybe try to understand what they're dealing with or give the space for them to handle that situation. That was totally off the subject, but still, it had to be said. Y'all know I say if it comes up, it needs to come out. So let it be. So let's get back to this journey of yours.
Yeah, I don't think that was off subject. I think that was right on point
Okay.
because, again, something you said in your book and that's been said for thousands of years, knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm.
And having the knowledge for me, self-awareness changed my life. Self-acceptance changed my life. Being able to, understand like, you know what? I am nobody. We're all nobody. We're like grains of sand,
Yeah. In the
you know,
world,
in the world for how many people, what is it, 7, 8 billion
8
people on this
billion.
planet?
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
counting.
and we're young. We're a young species. We're a young country. You know what I'm saying? It's just, and I think that when you stop and you kind of realize how really insignificant your existence is, that has everything to do with like how significant you really are in this world,
Mm-hmm.
because it's about making impacts. I tell people, don't reinvent the wheel. There's nothing new under the sun. The only thing you
Absolutely
can do
not.
is find your own lane and stay in it steady.
Mm-hmm.
People, one of my favorite speakers is Les Brown, and he says people make it their job to knock you off of your square or to
Yeah.
keep you away from your dream.
Yeah.
And I kind of let that kind of lives rent free in my head. You know what I'm saying? Because I have to remember that when I'm talking to certain people, and I'm like, this person wants to knock me down a peg, because there are certain qualities that I had when I was younger that even though I'm the oldest of 5 kids to, like I said, a 15-year-old mother. My dad was a felon. He went to jail when I was like maybe 5, and he didn't get out. Till 12 years later, I was practically graduating high school,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just being able to say no,
Mm-hmm.
being able to uh, not make myself responsible for what everybody else has going on, not making myself the solution to what everybody else has going
Yeah.
on. Uh, Addressing the savior complex that I have was really hard for me, you know, and being able to say no was something I learned in law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I learned even with my first job. I worked at White Castles for 6 years. It don't have nothing to do with nothing, but it to other people. But to me, that was my foundation for working.
So you were actually Mr. No. You were Mr. Nobody, Mr. Nobody,
Right.
and Mr. Nobody.
Exactly. All at once.
Okay.
And going through these phases of just understanding what is my purpose, what is my position
Mm-hmm.
here in this world, what is my calling. And you'd have too many people walking around through life not really trying to figure out what their calling is,
Mm.
what their gift is, why they're here, and how they apply this gift. How do you monetize this gift if you can? But we all have gifts, whether they're spiritual, however you want to look at it. And so, back to what I was saying, I worked in I worked as a police officer
Mm-hmm.
for 3 years. That was kind of the end of my stretch at St. Louis City Police. So 6 years at the county as a CO,
Mm-hmm.
3 years St. Louis City Metropolitan as a police officer.
Okay.
And I prayed and I meditated, something I worked so hard for. As I prayed and I meditated on my purpose, I realized it was something that I was meant to do, but I wasn't meant to do forever.
Right.
And I was actually meant to do those jobs to learn that quality of being able to say no,
Mm-hmm.
of realizing in a harsh reality that, damn, Pierre, you cannot save the world. As
Yeah.
much as you want to, every situation is not going to end up, a fairy tale.
Right.
Some things are going to be ugly. Some things are going to be nasty. There's going to be death. I saw more dead bodies as a policeman
Mm-hmm.
than I ever have. And I actually was able to, save some lives as a corrections officer. I was able to prevent a suicide I remember my first time giving CPR down in intake. And I'm doing it because I was trained to do it, but I didn't think it was going to work.
Okay.
And when I saw this guy's lips start going from blue and turning back pink, I'm like, okay, this shit actually worked.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's something I'm like, I'm glad I know this and that
Mhm.
I experienced this and I was meant to.
Right.
And again, learning how to say no was powerful for me because it was like, oh man, people actually respect when you say no.
If you do.
If you say no.
If you respect it.
Oh, if you respect your no, I got you.
Yeah, if you respect it, because even with boundaries, and I'm glad you just said that because I had lost my train of thought at first.
Welcome
But
back.
but thank you. But even with putting boundaries in place, because you said, you had to do self-actualization pretty much. You had
hmm
to you self-assess and things like that and figure out, this is not really who you want to be, or this is not working for you, things like that. And so when people start to put boundaries down, that's it takes a while. Okay, it
Yes.
takes a while to put boundaries in place, especially when you've been someone that maybe didn't have them in that area.
Yes, man.
Yeah, and you didn't have them in that area, and so saying no and standing on your no is two different things, because you can say no and be swayed really
hmm
easily,
hmm
but saying no and meaning it, then people respect that of you because they see that you honor yourself in that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I 100% agree with that. And being able to say no in the right way. Being able to, because you don't have to be nasty to say no.
Right. You don't have to be nasty at all. You could
You
just
can you can just say no, like I don't feel like it,
you don't even
and
have to
that's it. You
explain.
don't even have to say that.
Yeah,
You can
no is
just
a complete sentence
I'm not
and no thank
available.
you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so like I said, praying and meditating on being a cop. Eventually, I decided to buy a house, and as I bought my house, my realtor was just telling me about these qualities that I had
You
that I
drinking this
really
tea?
I am, and it's so good. It's so good. Um, these qualities that she saw in me, and she basically recruited me. But it was something in the back of my mind as well. Not necessarily being a real estate agent, but I knew that that would be a avenue into entrepreneurship
Mhm.
where I was able to be in the office, be my own business, make my own schedule, and live the laptop lifestyle that I wanted.
Okay.
You know, I could pretty much work from anywhere. And I've been to Greece and I've been to Bermuda and Hawaii, and I've worked in every single one of those countries and states,
Mhm.
you know. But and I got into real estate and I just love it. I love training new agents. I love when my buyers don't believe that they can buy a house and I ask them a few questions, send them to a lender, and next thing
Yeah.
days later we out on the market, we house hunting. I love helping my buyers, understand how by buying a home, you can create generational wealth. And I teach them all house hacking. Whether or not house hacking fits into your lifestyle, that's up to you.
What is house hacking?
So house
Yeah, I mean, you
hacking
don't have
is,
to teach it. Listen, y'all, this ain't a freebie. But yeah, what is that?
you know what? I mean, it is what it is. House hacking is when you use your FHA or VA loan, and you purchase a home or a multifamily home up to 4 units. You live in one unit and you rent, and nowadays, or Airbnb, the other units.
Mhm.
And that rental income from that other unit pays your mortgage.
And if you have um several units in one, like an apartment building, it's
It's not considered house hacking when you do that. I mean, it's
but that's
definitely,
tax free, right?
yes, and that's a commercial purchase,
Mhm.
and that would
Most people
mean,
don't know that.
yeah, uh, you would actually be cash or conventional with that particular situation. More than 5 units is commercial.
Mhm.
So if you get a 4 family flat, a
It's
triplex, a
residential.
biplex, I
A
said a
duplex.
duplex, a townhouse situation,
Uh-huh.
you're able to use your FHA loan, which is a low down payment loan, to 3.5%, or use your VA loan. If you're in the military and
Mhm.
you somebody who travels a lot anyway, it makes perfect sense to use your VA loan and go out and buy you a multifamily unit where even though you're not there, your tenants pay your mortgage. I haven't paid a mortgage in years.
That's awesome.
That's usually people's biggest bill,
Yeah.
you know, and I've offset it 100%.
Mhm.
And I love teaching my clients, and even like when I'm doing coaching and mentoring, I love teaching them about that.
Because that's a part of building wealth too, in terms of having that knowledge and knowing how and where to apply it.
Absolutely.
I think most people, when it comes to real estate, think, well, I don't want to be a real estate agent. I don't want to, do this or do that. Or even like you said, they may feel like they don't qualify to purchase a home, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I know that, for myself as well, where it's like, well, where do I want to buy? How, do I qualify? Do I even have the income for this?
Mm-hmm.
Because some people feel like they are, first of all, we're in inflation anyway
Mm-hmm.
right
Mm-hmm.
now. And so some people just have all these different reasons as to why they think they may not be able to do it or may not qualify. But when it comes to building that type of wealth as well, and even generations, I shared a post, a reel, I think, on Instagram last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was that a woman had bought all her 5 kids a house on the same block. So she
Mm.
bought the block,
That's
and
beautiful.
she bought one house for each of her kids, and that sets a different tone, you know.
Definitely.
And so I think that if people knew you don't have to be a real estate agent or even in the real estate market to set something up like that.
Nope.
But if you're going to spend money, and y'all talking about wealth, if you're going to have wealth or leave wealth for the generations, why not set up a system where the generations are taken care of, you
Absolutely.
know, in that way. So I think that's amazing. But I think that people don't ask those questions
Yep.
or really know how to do it when it comes time
Yep.
to the action portion of it.
And what I noticed with my people, um, and when I say people, I mean people that look like me, look like us. You have to plant the seed.
The beautiful people.
Yeah. You have to plant the seed for the beautiful people because they may be in the market for one thing, or again, they may not even believe that they can buy.
Mhm.
But when they get done talking to me, they believe they can buy.
Mhm.
Or they understand that they're able to obtain and build generational wealth by making this purchase.
Mhm.
And to me, that's the most fulfilling part. It almost gives me as much fulfillment as being a policeman, because I'm just helping people in a different way.
Right, and that's exactly what it sounds like you set out to do in the first place.
Hmm.
Even, as a kid wanting to be a police officer, we didn't as children we didn't know the bad rap that police officers have, and it
Exactly.
wasn't personal to us.
Yep.
We thought they were serving and protecting.
Mhm.
Which that's still the case.
For the
Some
for the minority, I mean, for the majority, I would
Yeah,
say the majority of policemen are good people.
right.
Police people are good people.
Right.
And I know that from experience from working with police officers of all different races and
And
genders.
and they're human.
Yep, they're human.
you know but as you get older, you hear and you're swayed by more things,
Exactly.
or whatever. But it sounds like since you were a child, that's what you set out to do, was
Hmm.
to be for the community. Even in what you said, as being a substitute, being a corrections officer, doing your teachings, doing the real estate, it's all about serving the
Yep.
community.
I'm a person of service for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like that is my gift. I know how to articulate, and I have like this just powerful gift of empathy. I can
Hmm.
understand, and I know when you're not understanding me.
Right.
I'm able to like maybe take a different direction in my explanation.
Right, because you can
You
see
know.
that body language will tell if
Yeah.
they like,
Body language, facial expression,
yeah, noises that people
everything.
make, like,
Yep. Yep. Like you lost me.
Yeah.
And I know where I'm losing you. I actually did car sales for a few months too.
Mhm.
And that taught me so much in just those 90 days. Was crazy
Yeah.
how much I learned about sales, the art of the sale.
Yeah.
And it's just about honestly being honest
Yeah, it's about
and
being
listening.
honest too, and, most people don't know what they want, but they wanna trust that you know what they want,
Exactly.
and they want you to tell them that too.
You got this. You got this.
Yeah. Listen, because I'm a every woman type of
Right.
woman.
An omnipreneur.
Right. Because of time,
Right.
uh, were you able to tell the audience or share with the audience, why knowledge is so important to you on your journey?
Uh yes, I can. Knowledge is so important to me on my journey because again, um obtaining self-awareness, spiritual awareness,
Mhm.
and being able to appreciate what I went through. Again, my mom was 15 when she had me. My dad was in prison for a majority of my life. I was always big and well spoken, and I moved around a lot as a kid, so I never really felt settled anywhere till I reached a certain point
Mhm.
in my life. And I had to learn, and I was at home babysitting a lot. If I'm just being honest, I didn't really have a real child experience being the oldest of 5 kids. And I had to learn how to get along and play with myself and to this day I don't mind being alone. I don't mind. I tell people all the time in my right hand to God, I do not experience loneliness, and I'm so thankful for that.
I don't either. I
I'm
I
so
don't
thankful for that.
quite understand it,
Yeah.
to be
And I and
honest.
I I
But
would say I can understand it, but I don't really experience the heartache, that void that people have. And I think it has something to
yeah.
do with me having knowledge of myself. I know my purpose.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily know how I'm going to apply this purpose to
Mhm.
serve humanity, but I know why I'm here.
Yeah.
I know that people love me. I know I have a safe space in my mom and my stepdad. And even
Mhm.
though my dad died in 2019, the whole time he was in prison and after he got out, my daddy was there for me. My
Mhm.
daddy showed me an abundance of love, even when I was mad at him.
Yeah.
And
Well, sorry to hear that too.
yeah, thank you. And my siblings, they look up to me and they rely on me, and I rely on them
Right.
because I realize that they have different gifts than I have,
Yeah.
and that they're able to be. Sometimes I need mentorship from them. Sometimes I
Mhm.
have to confide into them, and they like 5, 6,
Yeah.
11 years. My youngest brother is 11 years younger than me.
Mhm.
But I don't take that from him
Yeah.
because he got his own experience as a youngest kid,
Right.
and he might be like, "Man, you thinking too much," because he don't think as much as me to me. Um,
And
but yeah,
even for the people that do experience loneliness, one side maybe of that too is there are some people that do thrive on connection,
mm-hmm,
more so than verbal connection
mm-hmm,
or video, type of
yeah,
connection.
yeah,
There are people that actually thrive on being around other people.
mm-hmm,
Now, I would go further and say that shows that there's something missing as well, though.
right.
In that,
That codependency.
yeah, it's a form of codependency, but just to be fair to say, some people just thrive on that
Yeah,
connection, whereas people like you and me, I've been at home all day. I can this is how I produce all my stuff.
I'm telling
I'm at home doing me.
you. Mm-hmm.
But if you haven't found your purpose, if all you do is watch TV,
There's an
if
emptiness.
if you don't even pick up books to read, your mind never escapes your circumstance.
Yeah, yeah,
And if you're using people to escape your circumstance, there's still you not sitting with yourself because you don't want to.
that's profound. That's
So
profound to me. I and I would say that being able to really sit with yourself and God. I tell people to talk to themselves. I tell people because I mean God lives within us. This
yeah.
is my opinion. God is within
Oh no, this
us.
is business and Bible basics. We know that the God that we serve, it dwells on the inside of us.
Yes, that's how He's
Uh
omnipresent.
that's exactly, and in living things as
Mm-hmm.
well. I tell my sons that they like,
Mm-hmm.
how can God be everywhere? I say, you see that wind blow? You see the tree move? It's a living
Mm-hmm.
thing. God is right there. That's how
Yep.
He knows where we are, what we're doing, and
Mm-hmm.
how we're doing it. He's within each of us. We all
Mm-hmm.
like flashlights on each other.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know?
And if you are able to sit with yourself, if you're able to be alone, if you're able to not feel lonely while being alone, then that's a gift in itself.
Yeah, to allow the atmosphere to comfort you.
Yep.
Yeah. Then the presence of God to
Mm-hmm.
comfort you as well.
Mm-hmm.
You did say something else I wanted to say before we got off today was you mentioned it, but for all of you in terms of knowledge and working, and even loneliness or whatever, we talked about things in terms of like switching careers and decades and seasons for things. But the Bible does tell us also in Ecclesiastes to eat, drink, and find satisfaction in the work of your hands. And for this knowledge for you guys is if you're not happy to do what you're doing, chances are you're not doing what you want to do.
Mm.
And if you can't find satisfaction in your work, it's actually less beneficial for you and the person you work for or with, because you're going to be miserable no matter what. So eat good food, healthy food, eat food to live, not to don't eat to be full, eat to be satisfied. You're usually satisfied way before you get full. So eat to be satisfied. Uh Drink. That's up to you. Don't overindulge in anything, food or a drink. But also Find satisfaction in what you put your hands to do. If you put your hands to pray for somebody, be satisfied in praying for them. If you put your hands to hug somebody, be satisfied in giving that to someone or receiving what they have for you. If you put your hands to help somebody, help in a way that happens with love.
Yeah.
And if you put your hands to serve the community, serve well and do it joyfully. So if you want to write a book, give it your all, okay? Eat, drink, and find satisfaction in the work of your hands. And the Bible also says that our people shall perish for lack of knowledge. So y'all, do me a favor, okay? I did not do it a lot in 2023. And I also felt like my mental and emotional capacity were completely off in 2023, okay?
Mhm.
Do me a favor and read a book. I don't care how long it is, I don't care how short it is. Read a book, okay? Make it your business to read at least, and this is bare minimum, 4 books a year, okay? Read something because you don't gain, and I don't mean tabloids. I don't mean tabloids, y'all. I don't mean scroll down social media and read all those captions, okay? Unless you're specifically learning something from coaches, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying read a book. If it is a coach that you follow, if it is an industry you want to learn about, if it's a wine, I don't care what it is. Um, put it on your list of things to do. Read a book, at least 4 in a year, which is still not average. But try to read at least 4 books a year. And if
Mhm.
you have time, y'all, um, read to your children as well.
Mhm.
Develop their vocabulary, develop their mental capacity. Even if they are like mine, my sons are all on the spectrum, but when we have conversations, they can think further than they can physically read because we communicate about those things. So be mindful that knowledge is power, but you got to go after it.
Yeah.
You got to seek after it.
You got to be intentional.
Exactly. So y'all be intentional about that. Again, chime in below and let us know what you think of this conversation today. Where can they find you?
So I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can pretty much find me everywhere. My username is Mr. Nobody Speaks, Mr. Nobody Pierre. Again, my name is Pierre Cochran. I also make like skits. I love to make people laugh. So I'll make videos. And it just to me it helps to show people that you don't have to be boxed into anything. And a lot of people consider me to be very serious, but I make videos where I have people bugging up. And when it's time, I actually have some book suggestions too.
Okay.
So obviously, ABC's to Stalking Your Destiny, okay, by Tara Williams. Then I have The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Schofield Sheehan. That book taught me so much. I've read it maybe like 4 or 5 times in my lifetime since I was about 24. And Lead the Field by Earl Nightingale. These books literally shaped me.
Lead.
Lead the Field
Okay.
by Earl Nightingale.
Mm-hmm.
These books shaped the way that I think today.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of information about like self-discovery and how to, manifest things in your life, how to create things in your life, and and honestly, all 3 of these books talk about how easy it is to be negative about the outcomes of your life. It's hard to think positively. It's hard to think about good outcomes
Yeah.
because it's easy to just um I guess how they say that the devil is I guess more comfortable than the devil that you don't.
Yeah.
That situation, and you have to train your mind to think more positively. And these books, I think that they'll get you there. So
Well, thank you. And I'll add a book. My mom gave me this book when I was in high school, and we did not have a good relationship, y'all, at that point. Okay. We have a great relationship now, and for years and years and years, we've had a great
that's good.
relationship now. But in high school, I didn't know my labels. Okay. I didn't know OCD. I didn't know dyslexia. I didn't know ADHD. I didn't know none of that stuff, right? I didn't know my labels in high school, and she bought me a book that was called, and it's a great book. And for you or your children or your parents or whatever, this book can reach all levels. It's called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff because it's all small stuff. Okay. And I would like to throw that book across the room when she gave it to me because I didn't know I was OCD and I thought she was tripping. But I read it because I knew she didn't give it to me without purpose. And they do have Don't Sweat the Small Stuff for teams as well, you all. And for other purposes, they have Don't Sweat the Small. It's like a series. You don't need all of them, but at least one of those is helpful as well, just to help you kind of not stay stuck in life as it shifts and changes around you.
Because knowledge is power. And
But only if you use it.
yeah. And as as you know your labels, I like that you realize how ADHD can be a superpower. I learned that from
It
doing a
is.
gift.
That's how I produce so much.
Yeah, I did a gift assessment that basically talked about that. One of my gifts was adaptability.
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to adjust and adapt to things, which I totally agree with. I am. I'm the person that thinks on their feet really well.
Because you moved around a lot, though.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It made me a good cop, made me a good, big brother. It made me a good substitute. It makes me a good real estate agent. But with every superpower, there's always a drawback. Superman has all these powers,
Right.
but
And
when
then
he's around
kryptonite.
kryptonite,
Yeah.
so my thing is procrastination. But when I learned that, and mind you, this was like last year,
Mm-hmm.
I learned this about myself that adaptability is your power, but procrastination is your kryptonite. Here's how you fight procrastination.
Right. Because I was about to say, yeah, I can tell y'all how to master it. Not fight it, master it.
Accepting the fact that when you kind of wait to the last minute, you're kind of at your best. At least for me.
Because you perform well under pressure. Most people
Exactly.
don't.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep. But you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Like I said, I make funny videos, inspirational videos. Mr. Nobody Speaks, Mr. Nobody Pierre, and my name is Pierre Cochran. You looking to buy a house, sell a house in Illinois or Missouri? Hit me up. You know what to do.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. It was a
Thanks for
great
inviting me.
conversation. Y'all, this is the Tea Time with Tarah show where you have a voice and it needs to be heard. I am Tarah M. Williams. Until next time.